Hey guys, it is August the 2nd. It's another warm day. I'm in California and I know there are a lot of wildfires going on, and that really breaks my heart. It can happen anywhere, anytime, because it's nature's way, and it's very heartbreaking for me. I don't watch the news, but when I go on my YouTube and listen to my favorite YouTubers, I do scroll and I do get the news that way, and it's very, very heartbreaking. But all we can do is say that, I'm surrounded by the birds, hummingbirds. Last night I was at her watering and I had one right around my head, right around my back when I was watering. It was pretty cool. But the universe and Gaia, our planet, are always healing, just like we are always healing themselves, each other, in turn us. So the things that happen are for our highest and our best good. Things are not happening to us, they're happening for us. And I know it's hard to think, gosh, how can you imagine looking at people in their homes and the animals and the wildlife who live in these trees. I'm sorry, I was just watering and I just got back from my walk and my skin is stimulated. Anyway, how can you look at people in jeopardy and animals and say it's for your highest and best good? Well, we are part of the divine, but I am not the divine. I've just learned that it's the way everything renews itself. And I know that we all, we all have a role to play. We all choose this role and path before we come here. And it's their time. I guess, that's all I can say. It's their time to go. There are many different ways to go. I want to go in my sleep. I think a lot of people would like that. In fact, my wonderful dear mother, who left me and my sisters and her life suddenly in 2007, went that way. And what could have been better? Of course, at the time, it was devastating for me and my sisters. We had spent the day together wine tasting, and we had a blast. And I was, with my kids. My kids were very young at the time, and we had it was like the first day of summer, and we were ready to party with Grandma and hang out. And my mom I'd call her and say, what do you have planned today? And she'd say, I don't know. Why don't you come over and let's see? I mean, she was that way. I mean, that was so awesome. And so we had a wonderful day together. And unbeknownst to us, it was our last day together. When we parted that evening, we said our goodbyes. I had to rush off home to get the kids in bed, and, and their dad had to go to work. He worked nights. I had to, make dinner and pack us lunch and that sort of thing. And so we parted. And funny, I was busy doing that, and she was trying to get hold of me, and I didn't know it. And I found this out through my baby sister, who had been with us and called me, and she said, where are you? And I said, you're at home, doing what I do every night, getting dinner ready and getting my, former husband off to work. And she said, well, Mom has been trying to get hold of you. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. She said that she says she's been calling you and she's getting nothing but static. And I said, well, we're right here. And she said, okay, well, I said, do you think I need to call her? And she said, no, I'll take care of it for you. Didn't get to talk to her. But she said, I'll let her know that you're safe and you're okay in what you're doing. And we had been together all day, so I don't know what the urgency was. That's the strange part. But you know, when we did part from each other, she had one of those driveways that sloped down. And she took my little girl by the hand and showed her her mailboxes, because she lived in a cul-de-sac and all the mailboxes were in one area. And she told my daughter, this is Grandma's mailbox. And she said, you will need to know this one day. And my daughter looked at her and said, okay. And she said, you'll need to know that this is it right here, number 5. And my daughter nodded, and we hugged everything. And I said, okay. I said, well, I'll call you tomorrow. And she said, okay. And I said, you know, we'll talk about what we can do, you know, or what plans. And I said, do you have anything planned or something like that? And she said, like she always said, I don't know. And I said, well, all right, I will talk to you then. And she said, maybe, and threw her hands up and kept walking in her door. And that was strange. And so, and then here she was trying to reach me, and she was getting static. And I was there. I was at home. It was just the oddest thing. So anyway, so to around 3-ish, 3:30 something in the morning, I can remember sitting up in my bed. And I thought, what? Like somebody was trying to get my attention. And I looked over, because my kids were in bed with me. When my husband worked nights, we all slept in bed together. And I looked over at them in the dark, and I could see that they were asleep, and the room was dark. And I thought, who was trying to get a hold of me? It was the oddest thing. And I thought, okay. And then I remember looking at the clock and thinking, great, because I was yard duty at the time too. And I thought, I'm gonna be so tired. So yeah, school was just about out. Yeah, we had all these last minute things going on for school to be out. And we were planning the summer. So it was what, a week, maybe 2 weeks? I don't know, or less. Anyhow, that kind of bugged me, but I laid back down. And then it wasn't long after that the phone rang, and I guess this was 4:30 or 5 o'clock, I think. And it was my brother-in-law who was calling me from the hospital where she was. And he said, you just gotta, you know, you and the kids gotta get here. And I said, what in the hell, you know? And he said, you just need to get here. Well, unbeknownst to me, my mother had passed. And he was told to call me and have me get there, but not tell me that she had passed, because he didn't want me to get into an accident getting there. I don't know. But I was not happy about that, after all, when I finally was able to think about that. And I guess he had gotten a hold of my former husband too, and he knew, and he didn't say anything. And so I got the kids out of bed and got them all ready and said, we got to go see Grandma in the hospital. And we all were bewildered, you know, of course, because we didn't know what was going on. Anyway, long story short, she had passed. She had had a heart attack, you know, or her heart stopped. She went, you know, in her sleep. And so here she was trying to get a hold of me the night before. And I didn't know it. Anyway. How did I get on this subject? I can't remember, but maybe I was meant to speak on this, speak of this out loud. I don't know. But, oh, we were talking about the wildfires. I was talking about the wildfires and everything, nature renewing itself, and the way everything dies off and grows back. And our human life is no different. We're the same way. And so it simply was her time. And I realized now I couldn't be who I am or where I am had she lived, because I leaned on my mom for a lot of things. I was not the, in my own 2 feet, full-fledged thinking person that I now am then, because I was, you know, leaning on her mom and my former husband and my things that I'm just a totally different person now than who I was then, from who I was then. But it was her time to go. She played her role, and her human body or avatar died, and her soul and her spirit went to the other side. And I know she's with us to this day because of signs, because of messages, you know, various things. But a really cool story I don't want to forget to tell is, after that, I was a mess. Of course, I couldn't rest. It took me a good while, oh my goodness, months, before I could try to even think of my life without her. And I can remember in the days that followed her death, wanting to go to sleep because I was exhausted from crying. And this is when my spiritual desires were happening, my spiritual awakening, my desires and my needs for more. There must be more to life than this. I think of that Peggy Lee song, Is That All There Is? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? Is that all there is, my friends? Then let's keep dancing. Let's bring out the booze and have a ball. You know, if that's all there is. I kept thinking, is this all there is? And so I started reading books about angels. I had friends giving me books. Anything and everything I could about signs and synchronicities and nature. Nature is a good way to sit in and ponder, you know, meditate, clear your mind, and look for signals and signs and get messages from the divine. And so that's how I spend my days anymore. I paint and I write and I meditate. But one of these nights I can remember laying there, and I had this synthetic comforter that I put around me that, you know, I didn't have a bunch of blankets. That was all I needed. And I would cover myself with it. And as I was going off to sleep, or maybe I had been asleep for a little bit, I had my eyes closed, but I could see all of these colors. Like Christmas tree lights when my eyes were closed. Christmas tree lights, rainbow, you know. And I got this feeling immediately in my heart that I knew it was her. I was excited, but I was also fearful. You know, natural. And I can remember saying, Mom, I know it's you. I miss you so much. I want to see you so much. I want to talk to you. I said, but I'm exhausted. I need to get some sleep. If I don't get some sleep, I'm not going to be any good to myself. I'm not going to be any good to the kids. And I can remember those lights did not leave me. They stayed around my head, and I did not open my eyes. I just was afraid to open my eyes. And I can remember I had a vision of her in the hospital bed that she was in when I last saw her. But she wasn't lying in the bed. She was sitting on the side of the bed. And my mother was only 4'11". She made me think, if I could give you a visual, she looked like Estelle in Seinfeld, George Costanza's mother. I mean, no offense, Mom, I know my mother was a lot prettier, a lot cuter, blonde hair, perky, feisty. She was 4'11", little thing. And she was sitting on the side of the bed, and her legs were not touching the floor. And she had that hospital gown on her, which was weird because from what I understand is she passed at home. I don't know, you know, how that was, but it doesn't matter anyway. And I remembered looking at her, and we were talking with our minds. We were not using our mouths. And I remembered looking at her, and I said, "Mom, what are you doing?" And over to my right, her left, were a couple of really tall beings. I guess they were angels. You know, I don't know. But they were a massive, tall. I want to say at least 7 feet tall. They looked like men, and they had dark hair, dark short hair, and they were playing basketball. My mother was a huge Lakers fan when the Lakers were big. Loved them. And these guys were playing basketball. And all I could hear was the vibration of bodies. You know, that's what I was hearing. I could feel them and I could hear them. And they were bouncing the basketball. And they too were wearing these flowing gowns, like what my mother was wearing. And the gowns were swaying. It was almost like they were moving in slow motion. And I could hear the fabric of their gowns swaying with the bounce of the ball. And it was that bounce of the ball. And the slap of the hand on the ball. And I would look at them, and I would look over at her, and she's just sitting there like this on the side of the bed. And suddenly, one of the beings hit the ball really hard, and I heard him, yeah, when he hit the ball. Boom, picked it up and made a score. And as soon as he did, the sound of all of these bodies, the exclamation of excitement from them, from the people, because beyond them I could see people, beings, and it was like waves of water, but it was beings, heads, you know, people, angels. Pardon me, my coffee makes me burp. They were like waves of people that were celebrating. And it wasn't like they were screaming and clapping. And yeah, it was just a celebration of music, of color, of feelings, of vibrations. They were celebrating because of my mom. And when I looked back over like this at my mother went to me. And I can remember coming back to my room. I was no longer in the hospital with her. And I came to, and my heart was pounding. That was the most incredible. And I've seen things since, but that was magical. That was my mother's death, and the death of her body, but her going back home to the other side. So there again, learning to embrace death and realizing that it's our human form, our human body that dies, but we don't die. Our avatar dies. Our spirit does not die. And so all of these wildfires that are taking the lives, while it's horrible for us as a human to understand that way, to realize they're stepping out of their bodies. They're going to the other side. The earth is renewing herself, and it's going to come back better than before. And all we can do is say, be safe, Godspeed, send these people blessings and well wishes, and know that everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be returned And when it comes back, it's going to be renewed. And I'm just couldn't be more sorry. But anyway, that's my story for today. I've gone way over. It's 7 minutes after 20 minutes. Anyway, guys, be grateful for what you have. Think about where you're at. Sit down and write in your journals, and do it in nature if you can. Open up the window, smell the air, do whatever you can to be happy and enjoy yourself. And I wish you well, blessings, and I will be back on YouTube with another story. Peace be with you. Bye-bye. Thanks for being here and for listening.